Olivi and Brett Okamoto here in London. The UFC 286 press conference has just wrapped up, and Brett, I wasn't quite sure with the four personalities that were on stage in the co-main and the main event what the energy would be like, and that was pretty fun.
Yeah, I like the fact that they had all four of them up there, but there was a big contrast in that in the main event, I could go on and talk about the main event for days. Like there's a lot of storylines. I'm so intrigued in the psychology of both guys, just the approach, what's at stake for both of them. I mean, let's get into that main event because I really want to talk about it. But then in the co-main event, it's just like those two guys are just like, yeah, we're gonna go out and hurt each other. Like there's nothing else to say. Like we're entertaining and we come for blood, and on Saturday we're going for blood, and it's just like, yeah. That's all there is to say about that one. Yeah.
That's basically it, and the crowd loved it. But in terms of the main event, okay, so we had such an epic reaction from the fans for Leon Edwards. And for a guy that has worked so hard to get where he is, who has a crazy life story, it was kind of nice to be able to see him have this moment here in his home country.
Oh, yeah, for sure, especially because it's just like, God, it's so easy to forget things sometimes about the long road that Leon had. I mean, for years, I'll just say it, I kind of felt bad for Leon. Like, I just felt like this guy was just not getting the opportunities that he richly deserved. And then, pandemic messed up a lot of things for the whole world. But, it was just so, of course, he was going to headline a card in London. Of course, that's the first one that fell apart, I mean, that was just the story of Leon Edwards. I think I wrote a story one time for ESPN.com, is this the unluckiest fighter we've ever seen? And so to now come and get this reception and be headlining this card, the card is doing exceptionally well, and the ticket prices are such in high demand here. I mean, I was even talking to Kamaru's brother that he had to buy his own ticket because he's just like, man, we can't get tickets, and they weren't cheap. I spent a lot of money on tickets for fans and friendly just because, man, it's that type of event. So to have Leon, enjoy that moment is very nice to see.
It's really nice, and when it all comes down to it, it's about the fight on Saturday. This is a trilogy matchup. Obviously, the first one was years and years ago. Leon did lose that one. We saw what happened. He won the first round in the fight with Kamaru, then he lands the head kick from nowhere and just, shocks the world. But psychology-wise, when you heard the answers from both of them, where do you feel like they sit?
That's what's so fascinating to me about this fight because, it is a fight that we've seen now. It's a matchup that we've seen play out for 8 rounds. I mean, we can't, a lot of times we'll come here and this is a fresh matchup and we'll talk about the X's and O's. Like, we don't need to talk about the X's and O's. We know what these guys want to do, right? So to me, it's who psychologically is in a better place. I mean, they both come super well prepared. They both have reasons to be confident, and they both have reasons for doubt. I mean, Leon, we all saw it, man. I mean, the head kick erased it, but did it completely erase it? Like, you were almost done. I mean, your own coach was telling you that you were done. So I think if Leon, Kamaru said something interesting to me yesterday. He said that, I was asking him, do you think the confidence is real? Do you think that the confidence is real? Do you think deep down he's like, man, I've lost a lot of rounds to this guy? And Kamaru said, well, he's used to being the champion now. Like, he's had the belt on his shoulder. He's had all the people come up, and you forget. You're like, yeah, I am that guy. Enough people come up and tell you you're that guy, then you believe you're that guy. So I do think that the confidence is high for Leon. I do think that that's genuine. That's the kind of vibe that I get from him. But if he goes out there in the first round, it looks kind of like, Kamaru is being that physical force, and the second round looks like it, and the third round looks like it. Like, where does that confidence go? Because we've seen him shrink a little bit, and then he landed that big kick. But for Kamaru, the stakes are exceptionally high. If he loses to the same guy twice, man, we were talking about this guy as one of the greatest to ever do it. Now we're like, can we even call him the best welterweight of his era? Because he lost to Leon twice. So there's a lot at stake for him as well.
There is so much on the line for this one. Brett, before we wrap up this conversation, when we talk about Leon Edwards and we heard Kamaru sort of mocking his coach and saying, this is what he was telling you, that you were getting bullied by me.
Yeah.
Leon, from the moment I interviewed him backstage after that fight, all through every interaction and media hit he's had, he said, I wasn't down on myself. I literally could not move. And he put a huge emphasis this camp on his strength and conditioning. And I'm just wondering if you believe that could be it. Could it be a mixture of the altitude and adrenaline dump from the opportunity, nerves, everything? I mean, when you hear somebody, so adamantly say that, what really are your thoughts on what we observed and how they are telling us they felt?
I'll be honest. I think he has no choice but to say that. What are you going to say? Yeah, I was quitting in there. You're not going to do that. Even in your own mind, you're not going to say that because. So I think he has to kind of almost place it on some other things because it's dangerous for him to start going down that road of like, man, this guy was starting to break me. So of course for his own self-preservation, he's going to do that. But my take on it is, maybe the elevation did have something to do it. Maybe, of course, doing a more rigorous physical conditioning program will help, but Kamaru was in the cage. He was enforcing that on Leon. So I just think that you can think that all you want, but you got to be prepared. And then I'm super interested that if this fight starts to go Kamaru's way early, how does Leon respond to that? Because again, he just didn't respond for whatever reason, whether it was doubt or whether it was the elevation. We've seen he doesn't respond to it before.
Right.
So will he respond to it this time?
Yeah. Well, there's a confidence that he beat him once, and he knows that he can do it again. Brett, I'm not going to ask you for who wins, but I'm just curious. Do you think it goes all 5 rounds? Do you think we could see a finish here?
Man, these elite fights, anything is really on the table. You know, both these guys have finishing power. I do think that you're going to see a Kamaru who is very set on details, and he's a guy that patience, but also if he gets him in a position against the fence and the crowd's booing, Kamaru ain't going to care one bit, okay? And that's not me saying that Kamaru's coming in here looking for a boring fight, but if Kamaru's holding him down, don't expect Kamaru, because he did. I mean, Trevor Whitman told me, like they were driving back from Salt Lake City to Denver. They drove out there. Oh. So they're driving back after that loss, and Trevor's like, I want to ask him, like, what were you, like, I felt like you could have pushed the pace a little bit more in the 5th round. Did you get tired? And Kamaru just came out and said it. He's like, I wanted the knockout. I did. I wanted to knock him out. I thought he was done. I wanted to put that staple on it. He ain't going to make that same mistake twice. Well, I cannot wait for this main event and the co-main event, because that's going to be just all violence, I think, for however long it lasts. But we appreciate you tuning in, and we will have more coverage for you throughout this fight week.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.